Hi, I'm back, and I'm back with another build. In fact, multiple builds on one lot. I'm still thinking about what I should really call this. I've been calling it Spice Market Block or just City Street. In my files, I've also called it the Night Market, because originally I kind of thought that the lore for this place was going to be that it's like known for its nightlife and that it has a lot of stores that are open 24/7. But everything in The Sims is open 24/7, so yeah, I don't know, but I think you get the point of what I'm trying to make here. So the first thing that I had to do is figure out what exactly I want to do and figure out all of these shapes and how many buildings and stuff. And truth be told, I also kind of wanted to make sure that looks good on the gallery because last week the gallery sabotaged me really badly in that video. And guess what? The gallery sabotaged me again. It's not as bad this time because in the video where I built that mermaid cave, the picture was just straight up glitched. And here it's not glitched, but turns out there is like a street lamp in front of this lot and it just completely photobombs you if you save a lot here. But anyway, here I've come up with a plan for what all of the builds are going to be. And this first one, both the ground floor and the first floor, I want to turn into like an internet cafe. And then this one that's right next to it, I want to turn into a gym, again both floors. This next one here, I just want to turn into like a public bathroom so that we have that covered as well. And there is a little rooftop section above it. And then this one, I'm just going to turn into a bar where again, I also have an upper floor that belongs to it. And then if I take you across our little street here, this building right here, I didn't know what I was gonna make with this yet, so I figured that out later. But the upper floor of this build, I saved for like a rooftop pool, because you know, the pool has got to go somewhere, and so I decided to use this space for that. These two floors I want to make into a little fake hotel, and then right next to it, I'm gonna build a karaoke bar, again, 2 floors, and as you can see, I have some little private karaoke rooms. And then right next to it, I want to build like a bookstore with 1 level. And then there is again like a rooftop section above that you can access using these stairs right next to it. Okay then, now we just have to build it. And I need to warn you in advance because this build process ends up being super chaotic. I jump around a lot and also I didn't film that much. Partially because I didn't really want the video to be like 4 hours long because this is a really large build. I mean, it's not the largest build ever, but you know, there is a lot of detail and stuff. And also I built this like at the height of my exam season. So, you know, a lot of this was kind of built at like 2 AM after I spent the entire day studying and so on and so forth. So long story short, this is not going to be like a professional documentation of my build process here. This is not going to be cinematography. It's not. But then again, is professionalism really what I'm known for? I don't think so. But anyway, here I have started to place in all of the windows. And I need to warn you about something in advance again, is that there is probably going to be a couple of glitched windows in the download for this, unless they fixed that in a way, as in patched that out in a bug fix. But at least at the time that I built this, there was always at least 1 glitched window on your lot every time that you build. And it's such a pain to deal with because actually it's quite easy to fix. You can just pick up the window and then place it again and it just resets and looks correctly then. But I swear every time that you pick one up to fix it, another window somewhere else on the lot starts to glitch. Also in this clip you can already see me kind of figure out signs and stuff. There are a couple of neon signs and I guess just signs that maybe not neon signs actually, but signs that light up and stuff and are kind of animated in some cases. And that was kind of the idea, is that I wanted to have lots of these absolutely everywhere. And actually, I think because of that, this build ends up being kind of a bit cyberpunky as well. You know how in those images and like concept art for that sort of media, you always have like neon signs everywhere and that sort of stuff? Kind of reminds me a lot of that, so that's pretty cool. So I showed up knowing fully well that I was going to use all of those, and then another item that I immediately thought that I have to use here are these hanging lanterns, or whatever these are called. I feel like I never know what anything is called in this game, but I really wanted to use these as well. There are a couple of options with this pack, and I actually changed this around quite a bit because it took me a while to like figure out the perfect way to place these. That was the thing, it was kind of difficult really thinking of how I want to make the street, how I want to like design it and lay it out, because I know I wanted it to be quite detailed, make it like, you know, your busy pedestrian area. But I didn't want to overcrowd it with items to a point where you can't see what's going on anymore, and playing here is a pain, which I feel like is kind of the case in this clip here. You see I place those lanterns and I kind of have them in a zigzag, and I place tables and trees and I think fountains as well, and that was just too much, so you'll see me kind of change this stuff up a bit. But for now I like the outside enough and kind of thought that, you know, finishing it and completing it was going to be a problem for future me. So I just moved on to doing the interiors, and I started with a building that is all the way back on the left, the last one. And I decided to make this one into a bar. The lot type of this is actually a karaoke bar, so the lot type that came with this pack. And so I actually needed to place a bar item somewhere to meet the requirements. And so this is kind of what I came up with here. I did like a cool diagonal bar, which I wasn't sure if this was going to work out, but actually it works out quite well. You can see that it clips a little bit where you have like the diagonal bar intersecting with the regular, just, you know, straight bar, I guess. But I just covered that up with a couple of items, and I don't think you can really notice it. And there isn't really a lot going on the upper floor of this building. I basically just placed a lot of seats on here. And one thing that's cool is that you can kind of look down into the downstairs, because I left like a hole. And up there is also a door that lets you access this little rooftop section here. And here I also just kind of placed a bench and some plants, as well as a little basketball hoop. And then next up I went to decorate the hotel, which told you I was going to jump around a lot. But this is kind of across from the bar, sort of diagonally. And this ground floor here, when you first enter, is just going to be a little fake reception, as well as the bathrooms. I did mean for this to be like kind of a fancy hotel, but I did not have enough space for every person to have their own bathroom. So despite that, this is going to have shared bathrooms, which is a bit unfortunate. But oh well, this entire hotel is fake anyway, so I don't think it really matters. Hotel pack when? I am waiting. I would literally be so happy if they ever announced one, but I bet if I actually got to play with it, it would be kind of disappointing. Although I'm not sure how you would mess up hotels, but I'm sure they would find a way. Either way, I'm working on the bathrooms right now, and I did something interesting here because I didn't have much space to work with, so I decided to kind of steal some space from underneath the stairs. And I did this while honestly thinking that it wasn't going to work, but then I tried and it actually worked. So not that well, because now there is a large hole in the wall here. As for the items underneath the stairs though, they are actually functional. And then to solve that hole in the wall issue, I thought about like placing a vent over it, so I tried that. But it didn't really look that good, so I actually don't keep this. And so what I decided to do is to just ignore the hole in the wall. I mean, come on, everybody plays with their walls cut away 90% of the time anyway, so looking through the wall in The Sims isn't that special. And especially since it's small, I doubt anybody would even notice it if I hadn't pointed it out. And if you did notice it without me pointing it out, no, you didn't. You didn't see anything. But yeah, as for the rooms in here, I just built one and then copied them over and over again, so it's just basically the same room again and again in the hotel. But I think that's okay. Also, at this point, I've decided that I thought that a lot of the buildings are kind of too short, and so I decided to add an extra floor onto some. So I added an extra floor onto the hotel because I could just copy the rooms again. And then here I am also adding an extra floor to the gym because that was easy to do as well. Yeah, I basically just had a look at the build overall and I was like, we need some more height in here, especially because all of these surrounding buildings are like 11 kilometers tall. I didn't realize this at all, but if you go into is it called the Spice Market? I think so. Into this neighborhood here and have a look at the buildings, they're so tall. What is up with that? Anyway, as you can tell, I've moved on to the next building already, and this is the karaoke bar, which is right next to the hotel. And here is kind of what I ended up with. As you can see, I just kind of went for like a green and blue theme, sort of, kind of inspired by these curtains, which I really like. I think these are so cool in this pack. And then here is also what the downstairs looks like. And it is actually not a karaoke bar because there isn't a bar technically. Because you know the game for a karaoke bar, as in this lot type, only spawns in one what is the bar only one bar person and whatever they're called again. And so I didn't want to place two bars because I wanted to avoid that one of them would just not have any staff. So I guess technically this specific building here isn't a karaoke bar, it's just a karaoke, full stop. But then after that, I decided to take care of the little rooftop section, which you can access using the steps or the door from the little karaoke bar building. And then in here, I am building the bookstore. Now, much like most that is going on in this lot that I'm building, this isn't actually functional. You can't actually buy books here. You can use these bookshelves and get books from them, but you know, it's obviously not the real deal. It's all just pretend. And kind of sad, but I also during my playtesting haven't seen any Sims come here. They've always been distracted by all of the other things on here. Speaking of which, I actually really care about Sims behaving correctly on the lots that I build, right? And with this one, I was expecting the absolute worst. I was expecting for every sim to like walk to the most random item and just use that and completely be distracted by that. I was expecting like a huge crowd forming in like the most random place, like maybe next to the basketball hoop or something, and for everybody to play basketball and for me to be so disappointed that they're not behaving correctly. But then I actually tried playing on here, and actually it works so well. I was so pleasantly surprised. Like playing here, I've always seen Sims at the bar, singing karaoke, playing games in the internet cafe, doing gym stuff in the gym, like using all of the stuff equally. And obviously the game doesn't spawn in that many Sims at a time. So in order for this to feel realistic, you know, there probably would need to be more people around, but still it worked so well. So what I'm trying to say is that with my playtesting, with the experience that I've had so far, which to be fair, I haven't been here for that long, but so far I've always seen just the right amount of Sims in the right places to where, like, you know, am I making sense right now? I was just pleasantly surprised with the AI for once. Anyway, I'm doing a bad job commentating. I built a cool bridge here. I'm showing it off right now here. And so this is going to connect both the bar and the building where I haven't figured out what I want to do with it yet. And then because I liked it so much, I also decided to add yet another bridge, and this time connecting the top floor of the gym as well as the rooftop section up here, which previously was not accessible, and I was kind of like, is there a way for me to make it accessible? And so yeah, there was. But honestly, maybe I should have just left it empty. I really didn't know what I was gonna do with the rooftop sections. So on this one, I placed the rocket ship. Is that so random? I went for a more normal option on the other one. I just placed some floor murals on here. Oh, and then this here's probably my favorite feature on this lot, which is these rainbow lights. And what I did is I just used the space game light right here, this really like flat one, this thing that I think you need to unlock through a career, but I just basically placed a lot of these and then made them in rainbow colors, and it looks so cool. And then I've also spent quite a while actually on figuring out what wall items I want to place over here, but I quite like how it turned out. And then next up, I decided to take care of the internet cafe all the way in the front here, and I'm just going to kind of skip over that really quickly. So here's what I came up with. As you can see, I went for like a really blue theme and also a lot of white and stuff, and I think it's quite cute. Not a lot of space, in here, but I managed to cram in everything that I wanted. I also really like the little dots on the floor. I think those really set this place apart. But so then after this, I finally decided to go back onto the street out here and finally take care of this because I just didn't like it anymore. I wanted to use this tree item so bad, but honestly, I don't think I like it that much. I kind of do like it because I think it's cute, but also the tree in it just doesn't look that great. Plus, my new bridges also add quite a lot of interest compared to how it was before when I first furnished the street. And so now I kind of wanted to put in a little less detail. But you can see I still kept a lot of stuff, and instead I just made my own planters with trees in them, which I think looks so much cooler. And I did keep the chairs also, as well as this bench set up here. And I did also keep the lanterns, except I only have them in the middle there now and not in like the zigzag pattern all the way across. So I think overall this is way better. And then here I've started working on the public bathrooms that I also wanted to build. And I changed this one quite a bit from how I wanted to make it originally, because originally I wanted to have the door on the other side. But like I said, I really care about Sims behaving correctly and how I want them to behave on my lots. And I realized pretty quickly that if I do that, the walking distance to the toilets that are in the hotel would be way shorter, and so every Sim would use those toilets in the hotel and not the public toilets, which I want them to use. So instead, I made it so that the door is also facing towards the street, which means that we have no building that has like a back door now, which I feel like is a bit of a missed opportunity, but it's fine. And instead I kind of made this bathroom be part of the bar, and I think that helps a lot with the Sims going there instead of in the hotel. So I think some Sims will still go there, but this way it's luckily not everybody. And then here I'm on to building the very last building finally. And I've actually had quite a cool idea for the pool that is on like the upper floor of this. And for that I needed a floor mural, so I quickly had Jerry do this. And with that I could also like experience what this lot plays like for the first time. And like I said, everybody spreads around quite nicely to my surprise. And I think it's just really fun to like on this lot float around and see what each Sim is doing and like the different buildings and stuff. It kind of reminds me of The Sims 3 where you could do that. But anyway, I had Jerry paint that mural because I thought of placing it kind of at the bottom of that rooftop pool, because I thought that could look really cool to have like an image on the bottom there. But guess what? Once you scroll up, it disappears. I had no idea that pools do this. Plus the lights on the wall appear, so I don't know what the problem is. But so instead I just decided to place the mural up here. Anyway, I finally thought of what to do with this last building, and I just turned it into an art studio. And then up here I was in the middle of just kind of building like a little seating area when I discovered the following. There is a little froggo sticker on this chair in this swatch. I had no idea. It's so cute. Also, this is another cute detail, is I placed some lights on the top here because I noticed that despite the fact that I had lights in the pool, the light didn't come through the windows here, so I kind of just, placed on the light myself. I feel like this is one of those details that you probably wouldn't notice, but you would also notice that it looks weird if it wasn't there. And then finally I had Jerry make some more graffitis with love and glitter glue. And with that, it's time for the final tour. I am, again, so proud of how this came out. And actually, you might see some more details in the tour that I haven't pointed out at all. And that's simply because if I pointed out everything individually, I think we would be here all day. But I might point out some more things as we see them. Like, for example, this really cool arch that I put at the entrance that I found in debug, and I think this just really fits in, especially because this fish logo is also used on the building in the background there, and so it just makes it really look like this really belongs here. And then here you can also see kind of the art selling station. I put like this wall with like a chair and a rug underneath, and I think that's so cool as well. And that's functional as well. This wall item that I placed actually appears on, for example, a lot of the festivals when they happen. And you can actually bring your paintings and then sell them on that wall. And as you can tell, I recorded a lot of shots kind of from the outside simply because I was so proud of how it looks here at night with all of the glowing displays. And my favorite two displays are probably the two on the right here. I really like this one with the saxophone and the way it like lights up, but my favorite is probably this one right here with like the soup, maybe noodle soup, and the steam coming out of it. That one is so cool, especially the way that it's animated. It really makes me want to build like a fantasy cyberpunky noodle soup restaurant of some kind. I should write that down and actually do that one day. And then here, I also showed off how the rainbow lights work more closely. So here, if you look up from underneath, you can kind of see how I give every light a different color. And then next up, let me actually show off all of the interiors. So here's the internet cafe that I built, where actually some Sims were hanging out while I was showing this off. And there is like a fake, not bar, but I guess kitchen in here where your Sims can actually grab snacks, but obviously this isn't like functional in the sense that there's going to be staff here. It's just a little fake kitchen with a counter. And then up here on this top floor, we have some video gaming stations where Jerry's actually playing right now. To be fair, I did tell him to do that this time around. And also some more computers. And then if I take you across the street, there is the bookstore over here. And here I just kind of placed a couple of bookshelves and so on, like I already said. And random question, but is the floor too shiny in here? I don't know, for some reason this wood that came with City Living is just so shiny. My guess is that maybe it was more so made for gyms. But anyway, I also noticed how I completely forgot to paint the ceilings in this clip, so I quickly went and did that and fixed that. And so now we have the same shiny wood on the floor and on the ceiling. Double the shininess. Is that terrible? I don't know, but it definitely looks better than without anything on the ceiling. But okay, let me take you into the building that's next door, which is the karaoke, full stop, where somebody is actually singing karaoke right now. How fitting. And I really like how the stage came out. I really like how I managed to really make like a little spotlight and the rest is kind of dark of the room. And then back there in the corner there is also a table, simply because otherwise it looked kind of empty over there. But then if we head upstairs, we have a glitch door. Cool. Thanks for that, Sims. But here is what the private karaoke rooms look like. And I just kind of copied the same thing over into the other one. And look at this. This Sim has to be a paid actor. How fitting that they came in just as I came in as well. But so, yeah, your Sims can sing karaoke in here while nobody else can hear them, supposedly. I do actually think that sound travels through walls in this game if you like listen. But, you know, the Sims don't care about it, so it's fine. Next up, I decided to show off the bar, where actually I forgot to paint this part of the ceiling. Whoops, I promise I fix this later on. But so this is actually like the public bathroom part. Again, I decided to make the bathroom part of the bar in the end so that Sims would hopefully behave how I want them to behave. But so here is what the bathroom actually looks like. It's just a bathroom. It's honestly pretty boring. But then through this door you can get into the actual bar, where again we have some Sims hanging out, which is very cool for my tour here. But here is my cool little diagonal bar. Still very happy that this actually worked out. And another detail that I haven't mentioned about this place is actually in the weird little bump outs, I placed some game tables. So you can actually play like board games and chess in here as well. I thought that was a cool addition. And then here in the upper floor we have another visual glitch. This time with this window back there. Again, cool, thanks. But up here there isn't that much going on, there is only seats. There are however also two doors. One of them leads you to one of the cool bridges that I made, from where you can look down onto my street here. But then the other one in there leads you to the little rooftop section that's on top of the bathrooms. And up here I also didn't place that much. It does look very cool though, especially like from this perspective. But so up here I only placed like some chairs and a bench. There is also a pretty big mural that your Sims can paint. And I almost forgot to catch this on camera, but there is also like a cool sort of fairy lights thingy that I placed here. And look, in this shot I even got an airplane in there. I keep forgetting that these appear in some worlds. It's a pretty cool detail. From my bridge here, you can also stalk the people who are staying in this room, but luckily it doesn't matter in The Sims. And then next up, let me show you the inside of the art studio, or maybe art center, not sure what I want to call this. But so this up here is what the seating area ended up looking like. And then down here, we basically just have like an art studio. We have some easels, again a wall mural, 2 of these crafting table thingies, and you can actually also paint on like the little garage door back there. And then the door to the hotel is literally right next to the door to the art studio here. So let me show that off next. When you first come in, you are in the little reception area, and there's also the stairs that can lead you upstairs, as well as the doors to the shared bathrooms. And this little reception, like I said, isn't functional or anything. Your Sims can't even reach it unless you teleport them. And then here in the bathrooms, we have another glitch door. It's okay. I'm okay. But then in here we just basically have bathroom stalls as well as a sink, and then in the room right next to it, this is where the shower area is, and this is also where the stairs reach into. And I think you're not really meant to look at these from down below. I don't know if this is just a rare situation where they're glitched, or where they always look like this and they just don't really have a texture underneath. But it looks a little funky in tab mode, but obviously most of the time you're looking at it from up above, so that's okay. And then back out here, I actually noticed that I forgot to paint a wall. I'm pretty sure I fixed that later on, I hope I do. And then up the stairs here, there's the hole in the wall that I talked about, which actually there is no hole in the wall. You didn't even see anything. Moving on, let me show off the hotel rooms. These are all just the same because, again, I just copied and pasted them over and over. I do really like how they came out though. I really like the color scheme of like the black and also the white, and then this like feature wall with the dark berry sort of color on there. And I also really like how you can look out of the windows and see the rest of the city out there, as well as the fuzzy rock on the floor. I think normally that is like really tiny and I sized it up a lot. But yeah, let me just quickly show off all of the rooms in here. As you can see, it's all just the same thing, copied and pasted over and over again. But then next up, let me actually show off the pool outside. And yeah, by the way, this is how you reach this place, is I placed like a little door on the top floor of the hotel. But we've been touring this place so long that we saw a sunset, and now we're seeing the sun rise back up again. I may or may not have forgotten about this ceiling as well. I promise I fix that later on. But then let me show off the gym from the inside, which I kind of forgot about. I was meant to show this off earlier, but I don't know, I just kind of walked past it. But so down here we have like a little shower area, and here in this clip I realized that I accidentally made it so that the sign on the outside is clipping into this room. I was so confused when I first saw this, but so I went back into build mode and kind of sized down this ad sign here, and so made it that it doesn't clip anymore. But let's head upstairs where I placed some gym equipment as well as a basketball hoop. And this is a really weird thing. I think the basketball hoop indoors causes some interesting shadows to appear. And I tried placing the lights in different spots and everything, but it literally doesn't make sense. I think it's literally just a visual glitch, which is kind of a bit unfortunate. And then if we go up one more time, up here I have some treadmills. As you can see, I didn't actually add that much detail to the gym. I didn't want to completely overcrowd this. I kind of wanted to avoid making this be laggy on like people who have worse PCs. But honestly, it's probably still going to lag because I placed a lot. But you know, we can always hope. But so then there is also a door that leads you to the rooftop section, where you can also use the stairs here to access this higher rooftop section where I placed the rocket ship. And there is actually another door that can lead you to my rainbow bridge, which again I love. And then this leads you to the other rooftop section where I placed some floor murals, as well as I always want to say microscope, no, a telescope as well. And then here I showed off all of the different levels. Maybe this gives you a better understanding of where everything is, though I'm not quite sure. I'm never quite sure if this really helps with that, but it looks quite interesting either way. Oh, and this next clip that is coming up, I just wanted to put in because I happened to catch like a really cool sunset, I believe, or maybe a sunrise. But look at it, it's kind of like pinky and purpley. And this is also the time of day that I saved this in for the gallery. So it looks super cool in the little thumbnail, despite the, you know, street lamp in the front. But then let me show off the build from the front, arguably the main attraction, one more time, because I like it so much. And with that, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you like this video, you'll also like the others in the playlist, where I build other builds for my save file, which by the way, I didn't mention again. I forgot this last time as well, up until the very end. But this is a build for my limited packs save file. And you'll probably also like the video that's coming next week, where I build a graveyard for Halloween. Yeah, thanks, bye!